every psyop includes fear, and every psyop has to be where you don't confront it, where it lets you run down the road screaming and hollering towards what you think may happen.
It's the big monster. Al-Qaeda.
Whatever it is.
Whatever, yeah, it's a lot.
It's whatever the flavor of the month, whatever the flavor is.
Is an illusion. It is mind-made. It is a trap keeping you from your full potential. What is fear? It is an illusion of something that has not happened yet. It is either projections of the past or an imagined future that you haven't even given a chance to see how it would actually unfold first. A lot of the times our fear comes from self-limiting beliefs, or it is your perception of a scenario, not the reality of a scenario. What you do when you fear something is go straight through it, because a lot of the times it's less daunting and less scary than we think it will be in our head. It's like a child being afraid of the dark. They're sitting there freaking out, thinking that there's all these boogeyman and scary things around them, and then the lights go on and there's nothing there. It's just all of this fear. It is a frequency that is an illusion.
Welcome to Call for the Truth. I am LaOta of the Sun, and this is Tarvars of the Sun. Today we'll be talking about fear. So we hope that you will join us. But before we begin, we'd like to call for the truth. Tarvars, will you bring us into the call for the truth?
Most certainly. And we encourage you all to join us in this call for the truth frequency. Should we call forth the frequency of truth to come forward? Should we call to see the truth in all that we see? Should we call to hear the truth in all that we hear? Should we call to speak the truth, calling forth the courage to speak the truth? Should we call forth nothing less than the truth to come forward into our experience? And we are in the frequency of truth.
Thank you, Tarvars. Feeling the truth.
Most certainly. And just a shout out to all of the followers. We have reached 6,000 followers. And also want to encourage everyone, if you're following us or if you're watching and you're not subscribed, hit that bell notification, hit the subscribe to continue pursuing calling for the truth in all things. And so today we're looking at fear.
Yes.
And this was inspired by one of the Call for the Truth divination cards. By the way, someone asked in the comments, and you're like, how do I get those cards? We're going to add a link to the description so you can get them. But this theme of fear, the maxim was, do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain.
Yes.
Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. And I got some notes of additional information that's contained in the booklet that comes with the divination cards. And it reads, we all have fear. Do not let the fear stop you. The trick is fear getting you to plan ahead, to be afraid, accepting fear as a strategy, planning to serve your fear. When you do this, you have already lost. And so as an add-on, one of the things that I saw with this was that, working with fear, it's such a trick. It's like a Jedi mind trick, because it uses our creative faculties to bring forth the very thing that we don't want. But, humans, we're so disconnected from who and what we are and how reality works that we don't recognize it until the fear is all up on us. And, we have drawn to us the very thing that we don't want through constant focus and the emotional charge, and then, of course, taking action on it.
Right.
So, we have been hijacked by fear, essentially, to bring forth a materialization of that's inspired by fear.
Yeah, it's the perfect psyop. It's like every psyop includes fear, and every psyop has to be where you don't confront it, where it lets you run down the road screaming and hollering towards what you think may happen.
It's the big monster. Al-Qaeda.
Whatever it is.
Whatever, yeah, it's a lot.
It's whatever the flavor of the month, whatever the flavor is. And so you go running off. I hate those people because I'm afraid. It's the psyop. It's the ultimate psyop. So,
And you never see it. You never see it. It's just hearsay.
yes. And so in the word fear is the word ear. It's just hearsay.
Hey.
So there is that reality that we are exposed through our senses to many things, and then our senses go into our psychological, the psy-optical part of us, the psychological part of us, and then we put it together with all of the many things that we have experienced in this lifetime, previous lifetimes, other past lives, what we saw our parents do, what other people, and then we move into what will happen, what's the worst case scenario, what could happen, and then we get busy about manufacturing that.
The worst of the worst of
Yes.
the worst. Instead of using the creative energy to
Yes.
bring our attention and focus it on and animate something that's different. I want to speak briefly to this idea. You've taught how what we focus on, we animate.
Absolutely.
And that has been such a, it's made me stronger mentally.
Yes.
And recognizing the power that I have and how it's just a matter of just turning your face away. So for example, people who might operate as a foe or aggressor to you, your focus on them animates them. You give them life, but and no different than fear, I turn my face away from the fear. I stop animating it. I stop giving it the juice and the energy needed to materialize.
Absolutely. It's, we see it in the most common experience of we're holding a baby, we're looking in the baby's eyes, the baby's looking in our eyes. We see the connection. There's an electrical component there. There's energy being passed between us, and we turn our face away, and the baby's like, no, come back over here.
Animate me.
Come back over here and feed me that energy.
Mm-hmm.
So that principle is at play.
Mm-hmm.
The principle of, we're thinking about somebody, and then they're thinking about us, and then we're suddenly like, well, what if they think something I don't like about me? And then I'll be injured by what they thought because they thought it, but then you have the thought that could think the opposite thought. So you have the same power of animating the thought that they had when they sent it, like, I don't think that person is correct. And then you have the power to think, well, I'm really correct.
Mm.
I'm so correct, I could think I'm correct all day long. Like it's really this idea of giving over allegiance and power to forces that are outside of you as if you do not have the value or the clarity, which you can easily, all of us have the ability to manifest because we're all probably sitting on a piece of furniture or standing on the floor. If you're outside, then Mother Earth manifested,
Mm-hmm.
right? But the part of the fact that you have whatever you have is the proof of your ability to manifest. Now, if you manifested something that's not what you want, you may need to focus and tighten up your parameters. Be more specific. Like, I have done that where I wanted to go to Europe, and then I didn't remember I should have wanted to go with money. Sometimes we need to tighten up our manifestations.
So you made it there, but the pockets was a little.
And I was like, oh, look what I made. I need to work on this equation.
Be a little more specific.
Yeah, so all the things you say, I think the card, which I really love, is confront the thing you're afraid of.
Yeah.
What I have noticed and what I see is law is that when you are afraid and you pay no attention to the fear and you say, yes, I'm afraid, but I'm going to do it anyway. I'm afraid to take this test, but I'm going to take it. I'm afraid to ride on the expressway, but I'm going to do it. Then you collapse your fear. And then each time you do it, it collapses a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
And you have more mastery over your own experience where oh, I didn't die.
Right.
No, the chances are I could do that again, and
Mm-hmm.
the worst possible thing won't happen to me. So this idea of I'm afraid of what they think. Then you say, were you thinking that I wasn't a good person? And then it's like, oh no, I wasn't thinking that.
Yeah, it collapsed when you confront it.
Yes.
Confront the thought form. You often say, "I'm not afraid of what you think.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of your thoughts." And I think that's the thing that holds us back the most. But like you say, oftentimes when it's confronted, they freeze up. Oh, you mean I got to repeat the thing, the negative thing back to you?
Yeah. Did you mean what you were thinking about me? What do you think of me? That's a good question to ask someone that you're afraid of what it's, and if they say something that's less than flattering, say, well, I'm glad you answered my question because now I have clarity. So now you are armed with not only what they shared with you, but now you can then develop your own thought as relates to it, to cancel, expand, improve. Like now I know what I need to work on. So now I can think the thoughts that make me greater. So there's no situation in which it does not enrich us to confront fear. Fear is essentially a parasite that grows within us and grows out of control. And then we become manic and we can't sleep at night. We're tossing and turning because of whatever the fear is.
Mm-hmm.
Something's coming. Somebody said something. It's not going to work out. My manifestation's not working fast enough. These are all things that we can confront it and then it collapses. Yeah. But there are also structures in our world, many of which we've lived through in recent years, that really have currency in fear. They are bankable. Fear is quite bankable.
Yeah, it's a commodity, but also in some shape or form, we've been tricked to desire to pay for fear.
Yes.
And, like we spoke about this before, things like going to Halloween Horror Nights or watching horror movies.
Yes.
To have the fear. And I have this running joke where it's like, look, it's already enough things for me to be fearful of. I'm not going to pay you to scare me, to invoke fear. Like, no, but
some
we
people
do
are
it.
addicted to it in the same way people are addicted to adrenaline. And they, there is what happens is that when we're in detriment, we recycle the trauma, and I'm not saying that that's what's happening when people are of adrenaline, but we do recycle the trauma, and then we kind of feel like, where's my trauma? Like you're in a relationship and everything's going real well, and like, where's the trauma? Maybe we should be fighting, or
I've seen things like that where the relationship is going too good and it's missing the emotional turmoil and the drama, as you say, and then the person wants to separate. And I think part of this is kind of going off topic, but like what they associate with love is the over emotional, the aggression, and it's definitely very deep misunderstanding.
It's also tangential to the fear idea. In the same way, we have embraced worldwide certain practices and understandings that support fear, like insurance.
That's a big one.
Well, just look at the word. Just look at the word. I'm going to insure. Sure. I'm going to ensure that something happens. So I'm going to insure it. And you can do like you would do at a casino. You can put $500 a month on ensuring that something's going to happen. And it probably will. You can insure all of the things that may be questionable in your life. But let's bring your attention to it. Then let's make a sacrifice. Let's give money for it. Have to pay for it so that it self-perpetuates and insures itself.
It's a big magical scam.
It's a hustle.
It's pineapple hustle?
Yes.
It's this ongoing joke. It's just a pineapple hustle.
It's again, the trick in the hustle is to make you participate in the most catastrophic things that could happen to you, and then to make the entire city, and then to make the entire nation, and then the whole world is participating in this, bringing forward the fearful things in such a way where you're ensuring that they will happen at a level that will continue to finance that idea. So it's a very, this idea of fear and how it works. It's insidious, but it's in medicine, it's in schooling, it's in every institution. But I think you can really see it because they say it in the word. We're going to ensure that whatever it is that you're trying to avoid, we're going to make sure that you bring your attention to it, make sure you sacrifice for it, make sure that you must do it by law, make sure that all of these things take place, and then it does. It absolutely does take place. And so this is part of how our world works, and how if we don't pay attention to what is inspiring us into fear, like when you're a teenager and you haven't had your fears have all been taken care of by your parents, but then when you become a semi-adult, you start having to, okay, you need to be afraid of this. And then you have to give attention to it and sacrifice for it and make sure. And then when the next thing you do, then you'll need to make sure you insure the next thing, the next level. And make sure if you get on a plane, make sure you get the insurance so you can insure.
Yeah.
And it goes and it goes on and on and on. And people are taught to be a good citizen is to do that. So that's interesting. To be a good citizen, you need to be in fear of the things that you're willing to sacrifice towards them happening.
So we are swimming in a soup of fear. It's as though, from what you described, and although you just gave a handful of examples, I'm sure the people on here, their minds are going to many other things as is
Right.
mine. And it just really seems evident that fear is everywhere. It's perpetuated. It's driving our decisions, both consciously and unconsciously. And so how do we pop ourselves out of a soup of fear?
We really must examine each thing. We really must be in control of ourselves. We really cannot allow any person or thing or institution to determine how it is we think about a thing. Even if something is mandatory, it doesn't mean you have to buy into it. You can just as easily think, I may have to do this by law, but I don't believe in it. I'm confronting it. I see what you are. You're a hustle. You're a trick.
Yeah.
You don't have to lean into it like, make sure all y'all do that. Make sure the whole group of you all, make sure you do all
Get your insurance. You don't want such and such to happen. You always got that one family member who take you down the trajectory of the worst case scenario. You feel me? And it's just I don't want to hear that.
So it's the same way in a relationship as it is in anything else. If someone's talking to you in such a way as to instill fear in you, you have to be, are you trying to make me afraid?
And they go, well, I just care about you, and I'm just thinking about your best
dismantle
interests.
It. When you call it out, the psyop's over.
Yeah.
When the conversation begins, the psyop's over. It's like whatever it is they're trying to do, when you say, that felt like you were pushing me around. Oh, no, I wasn't pushing you around. So I'm so glad to hear that, because that's what that felt like.
I'm laughing so hard because the scenarios that are playing in my mind, like when you stand up and the reaction, it's like, man, get that out of here. But it, like you say, it dismantles when you confront their fear. Like, what do you mean?
When you confront the psyop, it's the thought form that wants you to be afraid, that has a life of its own. It is its own egregore.
I was just about to say, it's like
it
a
is
hive
its
mind,
own body of knowledge
sentient.
and intelligence. It's sentient. It has intelligence. It knows what to do, but it doesn't do well with you speaking back to it.
So I was just having a thought of how you said fear is parasitic.
Yes.
And it's like it needs us to feed it. And you shared this concept years ago, how everything eats.
Yes.
All types of energies require more of the same like manner energy in order to exist. So peace needs more peace.
Right.
Joy needs more joy. Anger, fear, anxiety needs more of itself to...
Absolutely.
But I can see the sentience of it working through people to
It comes in through the
perpetuate and
cracks.
let me, feed me, and I see the need to stand up against it.
And so the solution is be present, be aware of what's going on. Do you hear it? People always say, well, I think he said. I'm like, check and see. Did you say that? Did you say something to scare me? Are you threatening me? Is that what's happening? I just want to know. I want clarity. No, it's not okay.
Yeah.
Because it's a psyop. It's a psychological operation. It's not necessarily physical. It's not a tiger in the room.
Yes.
It's not necessarily that. It's often the fear is generated through other people, as you said, like comes in through the cracks. Like their fear leads to them expressing fear to you. Like I'm afraid of the thing that I want you to be afraid of.
Yeah.
And so but the solution is be present, be in the moment, pay attention to what's being said, decide whether you accept what's being said or not, or do you reject it? Rejecting ideas is a good idea. Don't just let people feed you things.
Yeah, because I can see where on the flip side of that, not saying anything, you've mentioned this. This is a shout out to the Call for the Truth book. She says silence is consent.
Right.
You sitting there silent.
Right.
They're broadcasting their fears of the worst case scenario, and you're just like, okay.
Right.
Even though some part of you don't believe it, but you're not standing up to it. It through osmosis.
It does. It seeps into you, and then it's in a little pocket somewhere inside of you, and it pops out the next time something happens where you are off balance a little bit. And then you don't realize what has happened. So I know we've talked about this a lot, but I would like for you to read the card again and the passage in the book before we close out today.
Yes.
Even though we haven't pulled a card, we're going to talk about this card.
We talking about this card, y'all. So again, fear. And by the way, it's associated with the root chakra. So our base, our foundation. Do the thing you fear, and the death of fear is certain. And from the book, it continues on stating, we all have fear. Do not let the fear stop you. The trick is fear getting you to plan ahead to be afraid, accepting fear as a strategy, planning to serve your fear. When you do this, you have already lost.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I hope this is good food for thought for everyone. We thank you for joining us. We leave you with In Lakesh in Veritas, with honor, respect and gratitude, integrity, discipline, and action. Thank you.